What's up, guys? Welcome back to the That's So Dev podcast. My name is Dev. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Y'all know we have some tea to get into. But before we get into the tea, make sure you go ahead and follow me at That's So Dev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else, especially YouTube. We got a bopping over there. Okay, girl, listen. Whew, whew, that's me taking a breath, right? A quick breath because everything that I've been fucking doing, it's been a lot. But it's been the most amazing opportunities and experiences, and I would not trade any of it at all at any point in time. I'm grateful to be doing it. It's definitely one of those things where you have to love it or you just will not be happy. But, you know, I have created this lifestyle for myself that sits right with my spirit. And, I had a grand opportunity this weekend to really embask myself into another one of these experiences, but it was different. And it was different because everybody looked like me. And, when I'm on sets and I'm doing several different things, like majority of the time, well, people are not black. They aren't. And I think that when you are in situations like that, you have to adjust. You have to code switch. Not majority of the time can you just be, like simply just being. You can't always do that. And, I went with a group of friends this weekend and we had the most incredible time on this trip, and this trip was really work focused and we fit the fun in wherever we could, and it was such a nice balance for us because we had so much to do. We planned going to this trip months in advance, and you know we had some hiccups along the way. We had a friend drop out at the last minute, and that was not handled too well. But I think that we were able to stay focused, and I think we were able to kind of just move over the obstacles that we had along the way getting to this because we all are constantly doing something all the time. So this trip, it really took a lot of effort, communication, being an adult, preparing, and it challenged us. And I think that this experience was a big fear for us. It's not something that we necessarily do all the time, not in this context, because, obviously we went to the BET experience, a huge conference that was for our people. And, we just, we wanted to be as prepared as we could. And I think that we were, because it didn't matter. Like, we were people who, we have tons of anxiety when it comes to a lot of the performance factors. Like, if you didn't know, the BT experience where they have an open casting call. It's like a nice little conference. I call it like almost like a black nab show in the way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how any way else to explain that, but I think that it was just an opportunity for not even just creatives, but for our people just in general to come together and to celebrate the successes of each other, and those who had seen success generally in our community, and just celebrating that and how far we've come. And also, the conference during the open casting call, a big reason again why it felt different for us going into this conference, it was just because, again, everybody really did look like us. And during the duration of this trip, I just remember us having a very pinnacle conversation about how we could just be. One of my friends said, I didn't have to worry about my look. I could just be. And we all said that we felt accepted in that space because we always, again, we have to code switch. It's so much effort and so much energy for us to have to present ourselves in a certain way on sets and things like that. But we did not have to worry about any of that. And as nervous as we were for this, there was also a level of comfortability that we had not really experienced. And I think it allowed us to put ourselves out there a bit more because the setup was not what we expected, right? We expected to go in a room with just the judges, but the reality is you are the casting call is open, bitch. It is open. It is open. Everybody's looking. Everybody, right? So they're splitting people between rooms, odds, and even numbers. And we plan to go with 4 people, right? Somebody dropped out, and and again, like, we moved past that obstacle. But also, some things are, seasons and reasons, but also something can be a blessing, baby, because if this fourth person had gone, right, we probably wouldn't have met the other person that we did. And shout out to Christian. I'm gonna have him on the podcast at some point. Anywho, so, like, we met him in line, and naturally we just kind of hit it off, and it felt like we were just buddies for the whole damn day because that conference was so nerve wracking for everybody. It wasn't just us, it was everybody. And you could tell, but also everybody was supporting each other on another level. So the people that we had met along the way showed support to us, and we showed support to them. And within that, we were able to find friendship and a level of comfortability that helped us get through those anxious moments that we had while we were going through this open casting call. And it was just such a beautiful thing because here we are. And again, everybody looks like us. And that is just, I'm going to repeat that because that is super fucking important when you are in these positions, because the community that you build off of that, it doesn't just stay at that conference. You keep those connections and they kind of expand after people leave because people are coming from all over to these conferences. So you don't know right? Like, we're going to come back home to where we are, but everybody else is going to be all spread out. And then you have these connections all across the country and these newfound friends. And, you learn from these people, you get inspired from these people. And again, no, I wouldn't have ended up in this room with who I now perceive to be one of my good friends now. And it is just so interesting how things kind of work out. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And I just felt like things happened the way that they needed to happen. So I gotta say, like, shout out to BT. And I remember, like, having this kind of like, it was external, but it was also internal at the same time, this conversation with myself where I was just kind of like, you know, I've obviously heard, like, a lot of things that you see about BET. You can see mess. You see mess. You do see mess on the internet. I'm not going to sit here and lie. You do, right? And I know what BET says it is, right? But what we tend to see on the internet doesn't reflect what they say it is. But what I experienced at BETX, I saw BET being what it says it is. And it was just an interesting perspective shift to me. Again, because of the different level of support that was in there. And I had the honor of actually meeting, ooh, come on now. I had the opportunity to meet Yvette Nicole Brown. And, after I had a little conversation with her a couple days ago, I was messaging her, and she said specifically, this is the only thing I'll say about it. It was really a special experience for all of us. The room was filled with love and support. That's the only way we get through. That's the only way we've always gotten through. And that really hit me because it was just like, damn. I think that when you are in places where, again, people don't look like you, and that is just the regular for you, you expect that. You have to search for the black people on set to find that community. You kind of forget what that community really means. And you kind of get a little taste of it when you do find those black people on set and you do connect with each other. You know what I mean? But it was so totally different. And I'm just kind of watching them, you know, really give education and relaying this experience that they've had in the industry and so much informative, just everything, y'all. After people are auditioning, they're giving a full acting class, the tips, the education, everything. Let's repeat it, the tips, the tips, the education, and more and more and more and more. Bitch. Like, all of that was so invaluable. People pay thousands of dollars for the 8+ hours that you're sitting in that room just listening to them. Because, yes, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to do my audition, but I'm also listening and I'm also paying attention to who's auditioning, taking notes also from them as well, but then also from the judges, because what the judges are saying, that's real shit. They are vets, they are icons, actors, writers, whatever. It was incredible to experience them give us that long time experience that they've had, bringing all of us together in one space and helping move us forward, helping educate us in this area, helping us make connections, helping us build community within the industry, whether you are known, whether you aren't. And I kept saying to my friends, like, oh my goodness, what I feel in this building is family. None of us know each other, but we feel like we do. It was down to the point to where we were inside the bathroom. None of us knew each other. It was about 6 different dudes. The janitor, he randomly was cleaning the bathroom, walking on his way out, and then was showing us this coin trick. And we all just kind of came together in the bathroom. And it was like we were family. We knew each other. Like, I could not explain the feeling to you, but that happened all throughout it. I mean, we had hiccups during the auditions where maybe people were getting irritated or people had frustrations, and you had some judges like, okay, you want to know what? This is what we're not going to do. Click, click, clack, clack, boom, boom. Yep. Dress that real quick. And that was that with, the situations. But also at the same time, what they did was, what is going on? We want to hear what is happening. And they listened and they acted upon that. Okay, somebody's on the stage who shouldn't be because everybody has a number. This is a higher number than what we're at. So you're cutting ahead of somebody, right? So now they're making sure we respect people's time and space because some people got here earlier than you, right? So it's not fair to them that they're on this stage. Right? Hello, they clocked tea, they handled it very well, and it felt like family to everybody in the room. It didn't feel like everybody was judging you. I'm sure there probably were some people. I mean, people naturally judge, right? But it was just the feeling that was up in the air. It felt like positive energy. It felt like positive vibes. There were people who definitely tried some things, but overall, I remember, sitting in the room all day because, you know, the information that they were giving people, they were giving full feedback. Like, you'd have thought this is the American Idol panel, and detailed down notes like to each individual person, right? And sure, a person could have been like, dang, like, we've been sitting here all this time, like the other room over there is basically almost done and we're halfway through because they're giving these notations and stuff, right? But I'm just sitting there like, damn, like, how many hours have I been sitting in this room getting all of this feedback in these notations? Because at some point I was like, so why do they like why are you bringing pen and paper? Like, what is it that you need this stuff for? And that's when I really saw, like, you might want to take some notes, because even if you're not up there auditioning right now, this stuff is going to be useful for you in this industry. Because I can tell you now, the stuff that I learned, and whoa, whoa, it's forever going to shift my perspective on how I approach things all around, behind the camera and in front of it, on a general set production, technique, acting. Like, I mean, come on. And also levels of confidence, because I remember I went up there and I did my audition and I was so nervous because, like, I've done auditions before, but to get up on a stage in front of everybody else who's auditioning, and because it wasn't even about the judges to me, it was everybody else. And so oh my God, I was like, my legs are shaking. Like, bitch, I'm smiling right now. I look relaxed as hell. I know that I do. But internally, I'm freaking the fuck out right now. My legs are shaking, but I'm keeping it together on the outside. But, I remember when I went up to go do my audition, I was so nervous that I was almost having an outer body experience just to get through it. And I didn't adjust the mic from the prior person who auditioned. So I was bending down towards the mic and I shrunk myself for the audition instead of really taking up space and expanding myself. And that was caught by a judge. And she said to me, do not accept what people leave you behind. And that changed so much for me because I obviously knew that things like that happen where, the camera turns on, you get in front of people and you shrink because you have stage fright, you have social anxiety, whatever the case may be. But it was really like her saying that, like, it was kind of a defining moment where I was like, holy shit, I need to expand who I am rather than shrink myself to survive a situation, probably based on judgment, because that's where a lot of it is going to come from. You're probably going to shrink because you don't want to be judged. But the reality of it is, you are being judged. You are being judged on that stage. But it's also a different kind of judging, right? It's like a critique, right? Not because when you say judging, sometimes maybe that can have a negative connotation with, right? But it was a critique. Like, they didn't want to demean you, right? They're not here to be Simon Cowell. They want to build you up. They want to help you. They want to send you in the right direction. And that's entirely the feeling that I got, right? It didn't feel like anybody was competing with each other. It felt like a genuine showcase. And I told a bunch of people, because there were a lot of people who did an awesome job. I mean, I was so inspired watching everybody. There was so much talent in the room. I could not believe it. And I just loved seeing all of these different personalities that our people have that don't always get showcased. It was just such a range, and I was so appreciative of it. And again, it inspired the hell out of me. Oh my goodness, y'all. That truly, it felt like a BET experience. I mean, it's not going to be my last time. I mean, look, that is something that I feel like everybody who really wants to move the needle in our community, I think it's worth the experience because, again, there was no way, like, at no point in time have I ever gotten up on a stage and performed in any fashion like that. But at some point, I had to. And there was a point in time where I was actually like, you want to know what? Like, no, I'm not going to do this. I was about to get up and leave. I was texting bitches. I was like, oh no, this ain't it. I was making every excuse in the book to leave. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I had a good time. I just came on a trip. I enjoyed myself thus far. That's all that matters to me. I was ready to chicken the fuck out. But again, and I'm dead ass. If I did not have my newfound friend Christian, bitch, I probably would have dipped. It's true. And again, I don't think I would have made that connection if we would have had that fourth person come on this trip. Things just happen the way that they do for a reason. Truly. Girl, I tell you what, we got up on that stage, all of my friends, and we conquered a serious fear. A serious fear. And I felt like we left so satisfied with the fact that we did that. No matter what the outcome was, we went up there and we did it. And that felt great to us because I think it made us realize we can do anything. And yeah, one of my friends that came on the trip with us, she was like, "You guys make me feel like I can do anything." And I was like, "Honestly, T, like we do. We really do because we're really supportive of each other and we all know the capabilities that we have." And it was nice to see us celebrate each other because we all have different areas of things that we are focused on. And at some point, they all kind of blend together for us to be able to do something like this. Like one person might want to host more, one person might want to act more, one person might want to be a model more, one person might want to do something else. Like it doesn't matter. So that was a really fun time. I mean, we got to see Mario perform. Absolutely. After we had been auditioning for the entire day, we got to enjoy the rest of the conference. They had the sisters set up. They had food, y'all. They had a roller rink, which was crazy. I said, y'all kind of ate that. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. Y'all ate that up. And it was just a really nice setup. I really enjoyed that. Um, and look, you know, I personally have heard people say, well, it's not really worth the money for me to go to it. I kind of beg to differ. I do. I do. I think that BET experience could really be something really defining for our community should it continue to grow. Because that's the T. If that conference continues to grow, I think it's going to be something pinnacle for all of us. My fingers are crossed on it. But yeah, y'all, what a good time. It was a 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 recommend. Like, yay, snaps and claps. BET, you ate that, and it was lovely to be in the same room as icons and legends. And let me also say this. It, again, because I've mentioned that it felt like family in there. And there was such a level of respect. Like, respect your elders and respect the people who've paved the way for you to have opportunities like this. It was really given that. So like, I mean, when we walked in, all the judges, these icons, you know what I mean? They're all gathered together, they're taking pictures, they're all around us and we're all around them. And it's not a matter of, well, there's security in between them and in between us. Like, we're just right there with them. And they're with us and they're walking among us. And, everybody is respecting them, respecting their space. And like, whoa, it was so different. It felt so, because in a lot of cases when it's like that, it's super like secure. There's so many precautions around people of their stature. And it almost like I can't explain it to you, but like it's like when you have like metal detectors inside of a school or something. Like that feeling is kind of what it feels like sometimes with other celebrities of any sort of kind, whatever. But here, no, it felt like you were just around aunts and uncles. Truly, truly. And you respected your elders. And that's exactly what everybody did. And it was beautiful to see. Period. Y'all, I recommend it. I'm just saying. Now, we were actually on our way out. We were supposed to go meet the cast of BMF, but I gotta keep it real. We were so tired and we were going to the beach after. We were like, oh, I really don't want to. I love them. I want to meet them, but I can't right now because we had been up since 4 in the morning. And my goodness, by the time we finished the audition, it was about 6 o'clock. So the 12 hours we had already been going. And we're pretty much used to that because that's just what we do on sets all of the time. Like, that's the minimum we expect to work majority of the time. So it was what it was. And look, I just have to say, what a wonderful time it was. I'll say it a billion times. I had so much fun being inside the conference in itself. My friends, they came across, a bunch of influencers and celebrities that they knew, and they got their pictures. And after we got pictures, we all went up to watch Mario. Everybody, and again, it was just a nice collective time where everybody bonded in, cookout, music, skating. Like, it just felt like I was at a family reunion, genuinely. So, yay, girl. Look, because I've already gotten through a section of that, and I've been putting off discussing the drama of the trip, right? But I'm going to, right, bitch? I have to. So, get this, because I'm not making a separate podcast for it because it's really not that serious, but a bitch gotta address it. So, look, four of us planned to go on this trip months in advance. And at the last minute, we had somebody say that their boss had not given them approval to go on this trip. Now, again, we planned this trip months in advance. We set up a group chat. I set up, check-in dates. I set up dates where, we need to, have our resumes done by this date, our headshots, so we can have some structure, so we could just pace ourselves. Not that I expected us to really like pay attention to it or super like be on schedule with it. But again, I just wanted to help us pace and not have to do everything at the last minute. But we're always doing something, so we naturally just kind of did anyway. But it was helpful for us still to have that. So there was a sense of urgency to get these things done. And we did get things done on time, but we were able to also communicate like, hey, like, I don't have this done. And then someone else was like, girl, me neither. And then we just be like, yeah, we don't, right? But we know it's a lot. We validate each other and what we had been going through. And they were like, we're going to get it done. So we wanted to keep a nice and healthy space within it. And I think that when the fourth person decided to not go on the trip, what that had did was, right, because we had said, everybody's going to pay equal and blah, 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 blah. Like, we had things evenly split, planned, whatever. So fourth person dips out. Now prices change. And let's keep in mind, I set up check-ins. So I'm regularly checking in to see where everybody is, how everybody feels. So if anybody has anything going on, they can't make it anymore, there's enough time, there's communication going actively. Like, that is what I wanted to do. I wanted to handle correctly and in the correct way. But we found out about the boss not approving our friend a week before the trip. This was about May 28th, I'm going to believe. And I checked in, I think, May 6th or May 8th. Either way, 20 days before, right? So several months of planning this trip. And a week before we find out that your boss still hasn't approved you for this trip. The whole time, we had no idea. And I was like, I do understand that things happen, which is why I wanted to do those check-ins. So if there was ever an issue, if there was ever a time for you to mention that, it might have been 20 days ago. And I didn't address it the way that I wanted to because I didn't want to eat a bitch up, right? I wanted to handle it in the correct way and not be too harsh about it, but also be stern because I don't like people walking all over me. So, I addressed the fact that, we had planned this months in advance. And look, somehow, some way, and I'm not even going to hold y'all. I would read the text message that I sent personally. I'm not going to read hers or anything like that, but I would go back and read mine. But I'm just going to flat out let y'all know. I handled that bitch very cute. But somehow, right? We get this response back saying, I didn't like the way that you chose to address this, blah, 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 and all this good stuff, right? And long story short, within that message, she uses that as a means to exit the trip, which we already knew that her letting us know the week before that the boss didn't approve her, that was her setting up the exit, right? And it wasn't until I had checked in the week before leaving for the trip that she had said something. She didn't initiate this. And she also didn't bring up anything along the lines of, oh, I'll pay for, the trip, I'll still do this, blah, blah, blah. Like she didn't mention any sort of compensation for her leaving the trip, like nothing. I think it was maybe like a couple days later where she had come back and she was like, okay, so I'll still pay my part, but this other guy that you all don't know well says that he'll be able to come and stay in the room. He can find his own way there, right? And I'll still pay for the room. And I'm sure in somebody's head, they might be like, oh, well, she said that she'll still pay days later. Um, and then she said somebody else would take the place in the room. A man that y'all don't know too well. One person going on the trip probably knows this person pretty well. But we have somebody who's married in the room. And this is a trip with a gay man and all girls. So you have brought up to this person over here that, hey, you want to go on this trip? And didn't mention anything to us. Didn't say, hey, can this person, can I ask this person, can they go on the trip? Like, there was no suggestion of the person. It was more telling us. And there was no consideration for anyone, to be honest with you. And that's what I felt. I felt that there was no consideration. And, after I had addressed the situation, after she told us, I sent one message and that was the last thing that I've sent. I didn't respond to anything else because I decided to protect my energy. I decided to protect our energy because we had to focus on what was ahead of us. I just turned 30. I'm not in the business of the dramas. What I felt was, I felt the victim complex coming. That's what I felt. And I decided to distance myself from it rather than reacting to it. Because the reality of the situation was, I was not in the wrong. I handled that very well. And then I took precautions to avoid the same thing that happened. So it is what it is. And it honestly didn't put a dent in the trip. Because, again, we knew what this trip was about, and I didn't want us to forget about it even when we went on the trip. We did not discuss this. Because, again, we knew that we came here to invest in ourselves. I invited this person on the trip, and based on their responses, I got the feeling that they thought that we kind of needed them. And I don't want that to sound like, oh, we don't need you. But the reality of the situation is, I invited this person because I felt that they had something worth showcasing that I believed in. And I wanted them to have an opportunity to also help themselves get out of their own situation that they're in, to elevate themselves. That's why I did it. I didn't need the $75. And it wasn't even about the money. It wasn't. It was about how she chose to handle the situation. And then felt the sort of way about how you responded to how she handled a certain situation, even though the response was well within margins. I don't do the dramas anymore. I don't. I don't, baby. But let's not be mistaken here. I will handle what needs to be handled respectfully. I still have love for this person. Kiss, 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 all of that, right? On set, all of that. Because I'm not in the business of tearing down other beautiful black women at all, right? The whole point of this trip was so I can help elevate and give other people platforms to go do other things that maybe they didn't know about or couldn't get to or whatever. I seem to always be the one, and mind you, this isn't me holding this over anybody's head. I am always the one that does the inviting to events and other things. I do because I know about them. And I don't have to do that, but I do just because. If you can't make it, that's fine. I'm just in it because I want you to get the same opportunities. But look, there's a lot of information that I could say here, but I don't want to because there's no malicious intent here. But something did happen, and I am speaking on it on my platform because I can. And if I feel that a bitch is playing in my face, oh baby, don't do that. Don't do that. Because look, back in the day, and here's where the growth is. I would have eaten a bitch up so bad. I would have been so disrespectful. I would have. Because again, I've gone out of my way for this person several times, including getting them a job at a place that is so low key, you can't even find where to apply. It's who you know. This person didn't show up to day one. They had, they had their reasons. They had their reasons, but they didn't show up to day one. So, you know, it's time and time and again where one is experiencing things like these and uh another tally after it happens, bitch. Like how many tallies you going allow to just keep going before you stop it? Because you have the power to. And you also control how you react to the situation. Well, why did I feel the need to do this on my BET Experience podcast? Because what happened was part of my experience getting to BET Experience, bitch. Genuinely, like it. I think that it also probably fueled us to just kind of work harder. That's what I think, anyway. That's what it felt like because we were so focused on moving forward after it happened. Again, we did not discuss it. We just didn't. We had too much shit to focus on. So after that happened, we came together and we were like, you want to know what? I specifically told them because I wanted to be fair to everybody and shit's expensive. So I was like, I will honestly take on the extra cost if I have to. I'm okay with it at this point. And we all kind of came together and we paid a little extra. And it was nice to see us kind of come together to move past that roadblock. It could have been something that could have stopped things, but we banded together to make it happen. And on the trip, it was amazing. It was truly amazing just watching us because we bonded on a totally fucking different level. I can't explain to you how deeper those friendships went for all of us. The experience at BET experience, to the trip in itself, to the late night talks that we had sitting in my car outside of the hotel room. Amazing. I could not have imagined that going any better. And it's a testament to how things can kind of suck, but also be good and also be beautiful. How things can coexist at the same time, right? Because I spent the whole BET experience anxious as fuck, so focused on getting up on that stage. But the reality of it is, I enjoyed myself. I had fun. I would do it all over again. Things can coexist at the same time. I love that. And I also love that we created friends, lifetime friends, during this experience. And I wouldn't trade this shit for anything else. I love what I do. I love making friends who also want to elevate themselves. I love being surrounded by people who want to elevate themselves, people who want more. I spent so much time around people, especially back in Kentucky, who just were fine with where they were. I wanted more. I was not meant for a basic life. I just wasn't. No, I am a city boy, unfortunately raised in Kentucky, but I am a New York City boy. And I think that's why I thrive in a lot of these big places. Oh, girl, that's really all I have for today. I think we've covered all the bases of the BET experience leading up to it, down to, well, the experience in itself. I'll never forget it. And I definitely will be there next year. And I'm going to take everything that I learned and apply it not only then, but to everything in between. And I honestly think it's only going to make me better. It's amazing what can happen in a year. My advice, if you are listening still, my friends, keep going. It does not matter what that progress looks like. I promise you, keep going. It does not matter if people like that post, keep going. It does not matter if you got 10 views, keep going. 100 views, keep going. 1,000 views, keep going. Imagine 1,000 people outside of your window. That's a little creepy, but you know what I mean. Imagine 100 people in front of you. It's a lot of people. Let's not front, okay? So, progress is progress. I think being in this industry, it can be discouraging and it makes you want to stop, makes you want to give up. Sometimes it feels so far away to attain where you want to be. And I asked somebody the other day, like, what keeps you going? And it was amazing that they didn't know because they knew. That's why that's why it was amazing. Because through them not knowing, they also said how and what keeps them going. I was like, that's interesting. Because like and I'm sure that's something that happens regularly too. Like you actually do now. But when you have to sit and think about it, you don't. Because what keeps you going just simply keeps you going. For me personally, what keeps me going? Oh my goodness. It's the certainty that I am going to do something. I am going to be something. I've got somewhere to be. I've been so certain about that my entire life, and I'm not going to stop today. Yay? I do not care how long that bitch takes. Yeah, yeah. It's a constant chase in the industry, a constant chase, and it gets tiring. Some people get over it, and some people settle for where they're at, and some people keep going. And I talked to my friend the other day. I was like, look, it does not matter how old you are. It does not matter how much money you have. You're a millionaire today. Does this not guarantee that you will still be one in the future? If you stop chasing, there's a chance you won't be. And a lot of people chase until they get into a position where they don't have to. And again, most times, even then, they still have to. They probably just do it differently. Maybe their name carries more weight and they don't have to chase as much. Maybe they can still chase and be low key. Like, so many different scenarios here, genuinely. But bottom line is a lot. It's a lot. And like I said at the beginning of the podcast, you have to love what you do to really do this shit. You have to. It has to be something that makes you want to get out of bed. It has to be what you're passionate about. I was not satisfied in this life until I stepped into the industry and started really planting seeds. That was the moment that I was like, damn. Because you ask people all the time, right? How do you do this? How do you do this? How do you do this? First of all, I don't know. Second of all, it really is who you know. I could never explain that to people before. People could never explain that to me before. They'd be like, how'd you get this? How'd you end up here? Well, I don't know. There was no script, girl. There's no detailed instructions on how to do it. Everybody takes a different direction. And the more you realize that, I think the more, like for me, like once I kind of got that door open, because I remember somebody asking me, because I told them this is what I want to do, what I'm doing right now. They were like, well, how are you going to get your foot in the door? I had no idea. And this was like, I think maybe 2020, 2021. I had no idea. No idea how on earth I was going to get this shit done. But 2022, there was a time I said chop chop to a bitch. She was playing in my face. And it was somebody that was really draining my energy and almost took my focus off of me. But once I got that focus back, I'm not even joking, within about 2 months, I was seen on the Billboard Music Awards. That summer, the MTV Movie and TV Awards, which was the last award show for the MTV Movie and TV Awards to air. Girl, I mean, I started planting seeds all throughout 2022. And by the time 2023 came, those seeds began to become more beyond award shows, TV shows, movies, several different things just to get your face out there. Oh, familiarize the face. Maybe I don't know the name, but I might know the face. Oh, doesn't that person look familiar? Interesting. Those little seeds right there. That's what you want. So I try to get in as many things as possible. And I tell people all the time, when I'm done with whatever I'm doing, the next thing for me is already planned, because it's the chase. I always have something else next. Because if you do, let's say you do this one thing, and then what? You finish it? Now what? You got to figure out what's next. Who knows what's next? Who knows if it's that next week, that next month, 3 months from now? Who knows? So I like to make sure that I always have something. Okay, so I booked this project, right, 2 weeks ago, and it's going to be mid next month. That's booked. So now I'm going to find something else after. If something pops up before and I got time and it's not too much and I won't get overwhelmed, cute, fine. That works for me. But I'm probably going to find something after, in between that time before I get on that set. And I feel like if you don't do that, I'm not going to say you don't want it enough, but maybe you just, I don't know. I want to say that respectfully. Like the hunger's not really there because some people don't really care that much to do it. They like where they're at. But I want more. It's not enough for me. I promise I'm not going to be a greedy millionaire billionaire dude, right? All hypothetical. I would love to be a million billionaire bitch, but you know how that goes. Anywho, no, but it's just like I want more. I constantly do. And that fuels me to keep getting project after project. And I love the fact that I can be versatile in a sense that, okay, I'm gonna go to this again, this open casting all over here, right? I'm gonna go to this fashion show over here. I'm gonna go to this film festival. I'm gonna go to this film premiere. I'm gonna go to this music awards. I'm gonna go do several different things. Or, and mind you, those are really my creative endeavors, but not my professional ones. Where, okay, I'm working on the set of Netflix over here. I'm working on the set of a movie over here as a production assistant. I'm working over here again, maybe for crypto.com, maybe for HBO Max. Who the fuck knows? But it's the simple fact. Oh, not to mention, I do audience shit too. So I don't consider the audience part of my acting or my professional work. That's just like leisure shit. So, okay, maybe I'm booked on a set here. What do you have after that? Maybe I'm sitting in the audience 2 weeks after that. What am I doing? Maybe I'm working on a movie for a month and a half after that. Okay, maybe I'm going back on set in about a month. It is constantly going to be something because if it's not set after set after set, it's going to be set after professional working on production. It's going to be sitting in the audience. I'm just going to diversify it. I'm going to mix it up because each thing puts me in a position to elevate me, right? So I'm working behind the scenes, I'm making the name rich, right? I'm getting all of this experience to put on the resume for all of these different events that I work at and work on. It, it's the chase. It's the absolute chase of it all. And you have to be hungry for it. You do. And I feel like, because I remember Anthony from Captain America, right? He said something along the lines of, you know, you make your own luck, like, which is true. I think when it comes especially to this industry shit, you entirely make your own luck. You have to make this shit happen. And I remember saying to my friend, I was like, we're doing all these bookings and bookings and bookings. Like, bitch, we're literally our own managers. And it is true. Like, we're managing ourselves, getting ourselves in this event booked on this set, blah, 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 blah. Like, a lot of the shit that we do is split up by somebody that works for somebody that works for somebody. It's absolutely insane, but it's also a testament to whether you want it or not. Because you're not at a position yet where you have a manager. Some are. That's true. Sometimes I be on a set and be in background and people, their manager booked this for them. See, it's true. It's super interesting. But anywho, y'all, look, it's just a lot. It is. But I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. It's what I meant to do. And I will continue doing it for the rest of my life. So watch out, bitch. Because I'm coming. Whether you like it or not, it's not an option. I'm letting you know. I'm telling you. I wasn't asking. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Get on board. Anyhow, I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much. We've been talking for a minute now. I appreciate you still tuning in. Now, make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at That's Sowdev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else. Thank you for literally streaming the That's Sowdev podcast where you stay true and stay you, boo. That was a tongue twister, but we managed. Now, make sure you drink some water, eat some good food, take care of yourself, because if you don't, literally, no, literally, who the hell else will if you don't? Relax, breathe, take a deep breath. There's a lot going on in the world. Please remember to breathe. All right, y'all. I appreciate you, and I will see you on the next podcast. Peace.